Nepal is a small but highly diverse country in terms of culture, geography and climate. In between an average width of just 193 kilometers from north to south, Nepal features 5 unique geographic regions. Lowland Tarai at an altitude as low as 60 meters from the sea level and with scorching heat up to 48 degrees Celsius, the buffering Churiya range, the Mahabharat range, the high mountains, and finally the Himalayas with world's highest Mount Everest and all the year-round freezing temperature. This is Tarai, the southern plain that spreads from east to west. Then come the Churiya hills that range from Indus River of Pakistan in the west to Brahmaputra River of India in the east. Also known as Shivalik Hills, they are at an average altitude of 1,500 meters. The Churiya region expands in 36 districts of Nepal, covering 13% of the country's total area, in between the Tarai and the Mahabharat range. Studies have found that the Churiya Hills, formed some 10 million years ago, are the youngest of all the hills and mountains. These hills are made up of relatively unconsolidated soft rocks, stones, pebbles, and sandy soil carried by rivers over millions of years. The soil composition in Churiya region is considered suitable for the growth of forests. Over 76% of the region is covered by forests, thereby contributing the largest pie in the country's total forest coverage, which stands at 27% now. It is Nepal's last remaining natural corridor, which bridges the Gangetic Tropics in the south and the temperate Himalayan forests in the north. The Churiya is a habitat for many endangered species like tiger, elephant, rhino, and other wildlife species. It also features some of the most important national parks and wildlife reserves. The fossils of ancient mammals have also been found in the Churiya region. This shows that the region can be an important area for the study of the evolution of many Asian wildlife species which have become extinct. Churiya region has a lot to offer to Nepal's economic, social and environmental sectors. The Tarai and the Churiya regions are connected in a complex network of economy, environment and culture. The area receives more monsoon rain than any other hills as it is located nearer the sea level. The land is made up of loose and rough soil that sucks rainwater to maintain groundwater level in the Churiya, Bhavar and Tarai region. It works as a reservoir of water for the regions including Tarai. Small and large rivers flowing from the Churiya region provide irrigation facility to Doon, Inner Tarai and the Tarai regions, which are considered the breadbaskets of Nepal. It's not long since people started inhabiting in the Tarai region. Human settlements and infrastructure development programs were begun only after the elimination of malaria from the region in the 1970s. The subsequent construction of East-West Highway and other development infrastructures led to rapid deforestation. There were dense forests in the Tarai region, better known as Charkose Jhadi, which were gradually encroached upon by increasing population in the Tarai and Churiya regions. As the forests in the Tarai depleted fast, the population started relying on the forests of Churiya region for fodder, firewood and timber.
8 बजेको समयमा आएको सर। अब यति बेला भइसक्यो। पहिला त 1-1.5 घन्टामा घाँस लिएर गइन्थ्यो भने अहिले गाई बाख्राको लागि घाँस पाउनलाई गाह्रो छ धेरै। जङ्गल धेरै फडानी भइसक्यो। अब दाउरा घाँसको लागि धेरै चिन्ताजनक भइरहेछ।
अभी छियै त पहाड़ चढ़ी छी, गोड़ दुखा जाइए, माथा दुखाइए, देह हाथ पिछुरी छी त गिर पड़ी छी। जाय छी जरना लेके तो की कर छी, भूखल प्यासल रही छी, खाई छी आ सुत रही छी, थकल पिराल छी। धिया पुता हवे गरीब दुखिया बड़ा तकित रहिए। कखनी से अभी छी, पढ़बे लिखबे न सकी छी, गरीब छी, कपड़ा लत्ता न जुड़ी, धिया पुता के तेल साबुन न जुड़ी। अब ले जाय छी त ढौआ लोग से 2 ढौआ जमा कर छी त बेचियो ले छी, फेर अभी छी।
Besides the pressure from increasing population, the unscientific agricultural practices like slash and burn in sloppy hills have been contributing to the deforestation in the Churiya region. Other factors like overgrazing of cattle, illegal felling and smuggling of trees, and seasonal forest fires are collectively contributing to the degradation of the region. Some of the conservation efforts, such as community forestry, have also turned ineffective, as the forests in the Tarai produce high-value timbers and the smuggling across the porous Nepal-India border has remained unchecked for decades. The deforestation has continued unabated, whether it be in community forests or national forests. Soil and watershed management demands an integrated approach which takes into account the interrelations between upstream and downstream areas. Churiya is geologically very young, fragile, and vulnerable to water-induced soil erosion. A study carried out in 1998 concluded that the unscientific land use practices in the Churiya region is leading to erosion of 780 to 20,000 tons of soil per square kilometer. This is Dhanusha district, located at the central region of Nepal. This is the region which lies within the watershed of Charnath Khola, a stream originated from the Churiya region. One can reach this area within half an hour from the east-west highway. These scenes are witnesses of the excessive deforestation and encroachment in the entire Churiya region. This Charnath Khola area can be taken as an example of how activities in the upstream and midstreams can affect the downstream areas. Uncontrolled deforestation, competition for slash and burn agricultural practices in the upstream areas are forcing people living in the downstream areas to go through complicated problems of natural disasters every year. Sedimentation and sand deposition, as well as erosion, are damaging the fertile and productive lands. The local communities living near Charnath Khola built this embankment by working day and night to protect their farmlands and houses. But still, they don't feel safe.
यो हामीले वर्षैपछि बाँध लाउँछौं, वर्षैपछि हामीलाई कति परिश्रम छ यो बाँध लाउन, चप्परी लाउन, यत्रो ढुङ्गा कहाँ ढुङ्गाहरू पाउँदैन, कति दुःखले ल्याउनु पर्छ। अनि अब यो सबभन्दा पहिला यो माथि चुरे नै रोक्नु पर्छ र बिरुवा रोपन गर्नु पर्छ। त्यो जुन अहिले फडान भए त्यहीँनिर बिरुवा रोपन गरेर अनि त्यहाँ र त्यो बसोबास उठाएर बिरुवा रोपेर अनि मात्र हामीलाई यहाँ दिगो हुन्छ। यो बाँध वर्षैपछि हामीले लाउनु नि पर्दैन, यति दुःख हामीले गर्नु नि पर्दैन। पहिला यो खोला कति सानो थियो, अहिले अब यो माथितिर बस्ती हुन थाल्यो, जति जंगल मासिँदै गयो नि त्यति तलतिर खोला बढ्दै आयो।
Churiya region is considered as a storehouse of pebbles and sand. The collection and trade of sand, stones and pebbles from the region has increased in recent times. The use of sand, stones and pebbles has not only increased within Nepal, but also the demand for the products is high in neighboring India as well. Excessive extraction of sand, stones and pebbles for supply to India has posed a serious threat to conservation of Churiya and Tarai regions. It can be seen that around 2,000 trucks and tippers export these products from the Churiya region, from Moran to Kanchanpur every day. On an average, they export 40,000 cubic feet of sand, stones and pebbles to India daily. Though the export of sand, stones and pebbles may seem beneficial through revenue generation in the short term, excessive extraction of these products has posed threats of subsidence of the physical structure of the entire region. It has also led to drying up of water sources, and there is a threat of the region turning into a desert. The bridge at Mahendranagar in Dhanusha district could be a good example of it. This bridge collapsed a few years ago. The main reason for it was excessive extraction of sand and pebbles from near the bridge. The breadth of rivers in the Tarai region is increasing every year. The reason for it is landslides and erosion in the Churiya and upstream regions. The deposition of soil, sand and stones brought about by floods has been raising the bottom of the rivers in the Tarai region, thereby increasing the breadth of the rivers. The human settlements, forests and fertile lands near the stream banks in the past have become a part of the streams these days. These wells, built near the human settlements in the past, lie in the middle of the river these days. Besides, the change in course of streams during the monsoon and their entry into human settlements has been causing loss of life and property every year. This is Osar village in Dhanusha district. This area falls in ward number 7, 8 and 9 of Kanakpati Village Development Committee. The Jalad Khola, one of the stream originated from the Churiya region, changed its course and entered into this settlement since a few years ago. The result is, this village gets inundated every rainy season.
सर देखिए पानी अभी है आ पानी अभी है गांव में रेरी है क्षतिपूर्ति हुई है बुझली सर तो हमरा सबके देखै छियै जे ऊंच जमीन है मतलब गांव में बाँचल जमीन है तो ये बाल बच्चा लऽ कऽ भागि जाइ छी चलि जाइ छी ये समस्या है लदिये के बात क्षति करी एते पानी भ जाई सर तो हम सब एते पानी भ जाय त बाल बच्चा लऽ कऽ भीतरी गांव में नाना सब मामा सब दिसन गांधी सन चलि जाइ छी भीतरी गांव में चलि जाइ छी तो घर में पानी गेल घर टूट गेल फिर साले साल घर बनली फिर ओते त मेहनत ओते ढवा कोरी त लगबे केल.
No one can imagine the development and prosperity of the entire country without the conservation of the Churiya region. But there is no planned and organized effort to conserve the area so far. Occasional efforts for the conservation of the region have not been very effective. In this backdrop, the President's office has taken an initiative this year with a view to conduct a detailed research in different disciplines of Churiya region like slope failure susceptibility in Churiya range. A review of policy interlinked between Churiya Hills and Tarai from the perspective of environmental services and so on through Department of Soil and Watershed Management, the Ministry of Forests and Soil Conservation. For the aforementioned purpose, researches have been carried out in Ilam, Jhapa, Saptari, Dhanusha, Mohottari, Dang and Surkhit districts of Nepal. To receive opinions from the stakeholders concerned about the program launched for the integrated management of the Churiya region, a discussion was held among the local stakeholders in Dhanusha district. Participants in the discussion stressed on the fact that deforestation in the region was the most daunting challenge for the conservation of the area.
हामी यति चिन्ता व्यक्त गरिसक्यौं यही हलमा भनेपछि यो बुझ्नुपर्छ चुरे त हाम्रो रहेछ भन्ने खालको कुरो जनताले बुझ्नुपर्छ। चुरेमा वन भने त एउटा भाग मात्रै हो। त्यहाँ खेतीपाती छैन, छ नि पशुपालन गरेका छैन मान्छेले, छ अन्य कतिपय कुराहरू यस्ता संवेदनशील कुराहरू छन् त्यसलाई सम्बोधन नगरिकन चुरेको संरक्षण हुनै सक्दैन।
पुरै तराईमा भरिसकेको छ, बालुवाखेतीले बालुवा भरिसकेको छ। पहिले हाम्रो नेपालबाट हाम्रो धान चामलहरू इन्डिया जान्थ्यो, अहिले हामी इन्डियाबाट धान चामल नेपाल ल्याइरहेका छौँ।
Detailed studies have been carried out in Charnath and Jalad watersheds in Churiya, as they are considered very fragile and have significant problems of geology, geomorphology related slope failure. The idea was to develop these areas as pilot project sites to show the link between upstream and downstream. As an initiative in this regard, Department of Soil Conservation and Watershed Management organized a national workshop on Churiya environmental study in capital city of Nepal, Kathmandu, in support of President's office. Research papers on the Churiya region's degradation were presented in the workshop. Some concrete conservation efforts have also been launched in some places. The efforts include construction of water ponds, plantation by bioengineering technique to reduce landslides, construction of embankments, and so on. This area, named as Pani Khulsi, a source of water at the base of the Churiya region in Bardibas of Mohottari district, could be an example. Until a few years ago, the problem was severe here. But the area and source of water has been conserved now on the initiative of the locals and with the support of the District Soil Conservation Office, Mohottari. Such efforts should be replicated to other regions of Nepal.
पहिलाको अवस्था नाङ्गो डाँडो माथिबाट बाढी पहिरो आयो भने घर छोडेर हिँड्ने जस्तो अवस्था हुन्थ्यो भने अहिले त्यस्तो छैन। हराभरा भयो, बाढी आउँदा पनि कहीँ जानुपर्ने हुँदैन यहाँका गाउँका मान्छेहरू।
This research carried out by the department and supported by the President's office can be taken as a positive step towards conservation of the region. The Churiya Hills may not be so tall in heights, but their contribution to the country's development is very high. For this reason, the present need is to launch an integrated conservation effort in collaboration with local partners after in-depth studies and researches on the past interventions, policies and programs. It is not only important for Nepal but also India to conserve the precious Churiya region. Only a collaborative effort of all the stakeholders could hope of bringing out and implementing a detailed plan for the sustainable management of the Churiya Hills. As a responsible line department, Department of Soil Conservation and Watershed Management is keen to take up this challenge in a coordinated approach.